That's how they got to be billion-dollar insurance companies. If you've been injured.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Hope that work week is in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line. Here we got Jordan Kitchens, Paul O'Neill back there on the ones and twos, and a lot to do over the next 2 hours. We'll have Preston Guy with us, TigerBait.com. He's here in 15 minutes. Got to get you ready for the NFL slate to come on Sunday. Talk Saints and Bucs a little bit later, including my pick. Chris Marler, LouisianaSports.net, as well as Locked On Gamecocks and various other things that he does. He's going to join us from Atlanta. He'll be in the building tomorrow for the SEC Championship game, so we'll talk to Marler at 2 o'clock. LSU basketball is a really big game on Sunday against Texas Tech. I want to take some time to look at that. I didn't know a ton about Texas Tech entering this morning. I did about 45 minutes of looking into the Red Raiders. They're good, and it's going to be a heck of a game coming up on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. And then we'll get an announcement some point in the next 2 hours, I think in an hour and a half right now, from Deuce Gerald's over there in Atlanta, where he plans to play his college football. Committed to LSU. We'll see if he signs that way. And so we'll start things kind of in that direction today. I planned on, when I sat down at my desk this morning, a little bit after 8 o'clock, I'm going, okay, how's this show going to work out? And here's what I do on Friday usually. Well, what's the lead of the show? And so, well, the lead of the show is probably whatever breaks with LSU football between now and 1 o'clock. That gave me 5 hours for news. And you had a lot of things that were coming, we thought. Lamar Brown has not put pen to paper yet. Deuce Gerald's has not put pen to paper yet. We haven't gotten any sort of announcement at all about Blake Baker. Think there's some news coming out about LSU defensive line coach, and potentially could Elijah Robinson take that job. And to this point, like, none of that has come down the pike. The only thing that has happened today was Trenton Henderson did sign on the dotted line and submit his paperwork to LSU. Trenton Henderson, a 4-star consensus prospect, an edge rusher from Pensacola, was at one point ranked a 5-star recruit. He's a top 10 edge rusher in the country by 24/7 and ESPN. He's a top 150 prospect by all three national services. He committed to LSU back in July, and that was a big get for LSU. And you never really felt like he was going to get away until Brian Kelly was let go. There's uncertainty on LSU's defensive staff. You're not sure if Kevin Peoples is going to be here. Maybe he goes with Blake Baker if Blake Baker is to leave. Like, we're not sure about any of that stuff. And the uncertainty created some indecision from LSU's defensive line prospects. And you look at this defensive line class: Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, Deuce Gerald's, Trenton Henderson. 4 big-time recruits, top 150 recruits. None of them signed on Wednesday. That was the first day you could put pen to paper. None of them signed. And you understand why. There's just a little bit of indecision because there's uncertainty at LSU. And ultimately, there's a reasonable chance that LSU could get all 4 of those guys into this class, and Henderson became the 3rd. You got yesterday, you got the signatures from Richard Anderson, and then you got today Henderson, and Gerald's is going to announce in 90 minutes, and Lamar Brown, the indication is he's going to sign with LSU, and hopefully you can get all 4 of those guys. But Henderson made that official earlier today, holding off Auburn, holding off Florida State. So great job by LSU to make that happen. And I'll say this. I don't know that LSU's staff, whether that's Lane Kiffin or Blake Baker in these instances, and certainly not Frank Wilson, I don't think there's anybody at LSU who could have spoken definitively about the future. Like, you have Lane Kiffin, who just got to LSU. Like, he just got his feet on the ground. You've got Blake Baker, who very clearly is entertaining other options, as he should be. It's his career, as he should be. And Frank Wilson's future, very much up in the air. So these guys don't have anything really solid to hold on to. They don't have a relationship with Kiffin. They don't know if Frank's going to be there. Don't know if Blake Baker's going to be there. Certainly don't know if Kevin Peoples or Kyle Williams is going to be there. And they are still signing on the dotted line. And I'm inferring this. This is not something I'm aware of officially. I'm inferring this. It feels like LSU is doing a really good job with organization and finances to close this recruiting class. You have had two defections from this class. That's it. When you talk about a coaching change and you talk about this era of NIL, that's pretty rare. And you had a couple of kids that LSU's new staff kind of told, hey, you might want to look elsewhere, especially wide receiver. But you're not losing these guys. And to me, it feels like that's LSU stepping up financially and making sure that these players have what's been promised to them, and maybe in some cases more. I'm not sure. But that feels like the case. If it's not, great. But it just feels like the case. Now, I want to keep hitting this grab bag of LSU topics that was potentially going to lead. And since there's no news, I'm just going to kind of address where we sit right now. Elijah Robinson is not somebody we've talked about to this point. Elijah Robinson is perhaps a name you know. Maybe not if you're an LSU fan. If you're kind of a just LSU, you may not. If you really are into the internet and message boards and recruiting and go what's going on in the SEC, you're probably aware of Elijah Robinson. He was Jimbo Fisher's defensive line coach the entire time at Texas A&M. And when Jimbo Fisher was fired, he took over as interim head coach because the team really rallied around him. He's known as a dynamic recruiter. He had commitments at Texas A&M from Gabe Relaford and Dominic McKinley. And when it was determined that Elijah Robinson was not going to get the head coaching job and was not going to be the defensive coordinator, and in fact, he was going to go be the defensive coordinator at Syracuse, try to take a step up at Syracuse, well, Gabe Relaford and Dominic McKinley from Shreveport and Lafayette went, love you, coach, but I'm going to go to LSU. I'm not going to upstate New York. But he's a great recruiter, thought of as a great relationship builder, and a heck of a defensive line coach as well. And it didn't work out over the last 2 seasons at defensive coordinator at Syracuse. So much so the head coach at Syracuse has announced publicly that Elijah Robinson will be a co-defensive coordinator now and defensive line coach as opposed to the defensive coordinator. Read into that. That's a demotion. So Elijah Robinson is much on the market. And we know that he is in Baton Rouge right now. Now, nothing's official as far as being the defensive line coach, but this would be a pretty splashy hire by Lane Kiffin. Football Scoop last night put out the information that they felt that there was a real potential that Elijah Robinson would be the defensive line coach at LSU. Again, nothing official, but this would be a splash. Now, what does that mean for Kyle Williams? That his time in Baton Rouge is very likely done. And look, I think it's a stretch to say I talked to Kyle Williams about this. Literally, I did, but it was in an interview at the Baton Rouge Alumni Association's chapter annual fundraiser in August. He was up there in front of the entire crowd, and I was interviewing him. So it's not like me and Kyle were chatting it up on the phone, or I went over to his house and we kicked back on the back patio and we're chatting about it. It was literally in a public situation at a fundraiser. But I said, like, you just got done with an NFL career. You're coaching in Ruston, where you're from. You can play golf at Squire Creek. He's a great golfer. Squire Creek's the best golf course in the state of Louisiana. I was like, why would you come down here? He's like, I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to help LSU. I knew that I'd be comfortable here. My family could move here. I know the area. Like, it was just a very comfortable thing to come do. But Kyle Williams doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to coach. And I feel like if Kyle Williams wants to be a defensive line coach next year, he will be a defensive line coach next year. My opinion on that is it'd probably be in the NFL, but he can get that job. He's that respected in football. He's obviously got an incredible acumen. He's done, look at this defensive line class I just talked about. 4 top 150 recruits that potentially could sign with LSU, assuming Lamar Brown signs on the dotted line and Deuce Gerald signs on the dotted line. Like, Kyle Williams did a great job recruiting, and LSU's defensive line play was good this year. But doesn't look like he's going to be back. And it's very likely, if not very possible, if not likely, that Elijah Robinson is next up. You got to cross some hurdles to get there. You got to get the paperwork done. You got to get him in the building and working. But that's a guy who has already recruited the state of Louisiana 2 guys to Texas A&M. And this is not number 2 in the country, Texas A&M, that he recruited them to. This is a guy who recruited them to Jimbo Fisher's Texas A&M. Oh, by the way, recruited Walter Nolan, 5-star, Oh, by the way, like that huge monster class that didn't work out at all, Elijah Robinson helped put that together. And there were some really good players in that class. They just didn't all help Texas A&M. They kind of dispersed elsewhere. But I think that would be a really good hire for LSU. And I talked about this yesterday. What Lane Kiffin does on the defensive staff perspective is a big, big deal. It matters on the offense side too, but Lane's in charge of that. And you feel like that's going to be a stable and successful side of the football. The defense is where you're going to have to put some work in and make sure that that's elite level staffing. And Elijah Robinson would be a heck of an add to that staff if it happens. The question is Blake Baker on that side, and this is kind of wrapping up that grab bag that we went through with the defensive line recruits and with the defensive line coach and with Blake Baker and with Lamar Brown and like all those things. Blake Baker still has not made a public decision. It is our understanding that Tulane and Memphis are both very, very interested in his services. It is our understanding that he is wrestling with this decision. And it's not one of those deals where it's a slam dunk that Baker is absolutely going to go be a head coach at his alma mater or absolutely going to go be a head coach at Memphis. I think both of those jobs are really good ones. But the question becomes this for Blake Baker. Do you want to go be a head coach for the first time for a relatively similar paycheck at the Group of 5 level? Defensive coordinator in the SEC, Group of 5 head coach, probably similar paychecks. I haven't seen any offers, but it's reasonable assumption they're pretty similar. Or do you want to do the Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Dan Mullen thing where you wait for a bigger SEC job? Like Dan Mullen left Florida for Mississippi State. Dan Lanning left Georgia for Oregon. Kirby Smart left Bama for Georgia. Like those are coordinators, big names, big programs, and then you take a job. He's got an option, and I think he's wrestling with it. My guess is the same as it was 24 hours ago when we had this discussion. I believe he'll be Tulane's head coach. That is a guess. It's not sourced, not official by any stretch, but it's my opinion based on the information that we've kind of gathered. He absolutely, like we talked about with Lane Kiffin, he absolutely could wake up today or tomorrow, Tulane plays tonight, and go, all right, it's time to go. And go. He absolutely could wake up today or tomorrow and go, I think I want to stay here and chase championships. Either way, I support Blake in either one of those, and I think both of them would be very reasonable decisions. Just depends on what he decides to do. So that's kind of putting a bow on all things LSU that have gone on in the last 24 hours. I'm assuming that I'll get some sort of information on Twitter over the next hour and 45 minutes, and when that information comes on anything that happens, we'll just pass that along and react to it. Shout out Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They bring you our Friday shows. Looking for a late lunch just after 1 o'clock? Get on by Government between Jefferson and Foster. Get you a big old shrimp po' boy. Get you one of their platters, the jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, crispy shoestring fries. They got your coleslaw, honey butter rolls, beignet bites for a snack, tackle box kid meals for the kids. If you're looking to go watch some high school football and want to get something to eat before you head out tonight, Corks is a great option for that. And if you got a game watch party for the SC Championship or even for the Saints on Sunday, Corks loves to feed in bulk, and that also includes Christmas lunches. If you want to let Corks do the cooking for you, they can do it. Check him out online at corksfishandshrimp.com. That's corksfishandshrimp.com. We'll come back to Preston Guy next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here. We eat out here. We watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Pleasant Builders School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Been a crazy week in LSU football. Here to kind of put a bow on all of that. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. New dad, second time ever. Preston, congrats to the Guy family, and appreciate you giving us a little time on this Friday. How are you?
I appreciate you for having me, Hunt.
So let's talk about Lane Kiffin first, and then we'll get into recruiting. It's done. How do you feel about it, and what's your impression been through a week?
Yeah, first off, hats off to Verge Osbury and the entire LSU administration for pulling this off. I mean, LSU was certainly the best job on the market, but with all the turmoil they were handed, I really had a gut feeling this wasn't going to end well. Well, it turns out you didn't get your number one guy. You got everyone's number one guy. Was it a messy exit for Lane Kiffin? Sure it was. But if you think about it, all the parties kind of acted the way you might expect them to act. Ole Miss wasn't going to let him coach in the playoffs. Lane Kiffin tried every trick in the book to try to continue coaching his team. Even there were some tricks I might not endorse, but that's neither here nor there. And LSU was willing to wait for him and let him coach that team. So, I mean, everybody was kind of doing their part to make it happen. If you think about it, it's a messy situation, and it certainly is unprecedented, but a 12-team playoff has only been around for 1 year prior to this. So I assume we're probably going to see more similar situations like this in the future. So anyways, I love that LSU got a tactician. Lane Kiffin is obviously a brilliant offensive mind. It looks like one of the first things that's going to be happening is he'll be losing a brilliant defensive mind, as Blake Baker does appear to be heading to Tulane, but that's the way you want to lose coordinators. You want to hire really good coordinators, and they get offered head coaching jobs. That's just how this works. So we'll see what kind of work he does. I think it's been a mixed bag so far. Obviously, as the staff starts to solidify and the recruits start to commit, depending on what Lamar Brown does any second here, I'd say that it could be a pretty strong first week for Kiffin.
How do you feel about Charlie Weiss going to coach Ole Miss in the playoff?
I'm fine with it. Doesn't bother me. I mean, it's not like LSU, has any impending massive, colossal games coming up that they need a bright offensive mind for. And it's not like, I also look at it as one of the things like, what's he going to do? Come here and call a bowl game on this putrid offense that hasn't scored 25 points all season? Like, just let it be. let him go stick with his team. I would have been fine with Lane Kiffin sticking with his team. In fact, I would like to see some sort of standard operating policy determined for when a coach of a playoff team determines he wants to take a better job.
Yeah, that's probably a lot to ask, but you got to get cooperation on both ends like Florida and Tulane have, and certainly when you go in conference, that's generally not going to be the case. So this signing class, it looks like they're going to sign 15, 16 guys here. Obviously, the numbers are low compared to Miami and some of the others, West Virginia, and I think USC that have signed like upwards of 35. But what do you feel about the high school class, knowing what we know about the landscape of roster acquisition anyway?
Well, assuming you get Deuce Geralds and Lamar Brown to actually sign the dotted line, you're bringing in one of the best defensive line classes in America. I mean, you've got the number one player in the country, Lamar Brown, who all indications are that, any minute now he should sign the dotted line with LSU. Richard Anderson, who, our site owner, Mike Scarborough, is calling him the closest thing to Glenn Dorsey since Glenn Dorsey. I mean, that's pretty high, lofty praise, and he's an absolute tank. It's just a very, very impressive. Trenton Henderson just signed his letter of intent. So, it's a very good class. It's not a deep class. Obviously, the glaring hole is going to be no quarterback, but that's of no fault of Lane Kiffin's. He came in swinging for the fences for Landon Duckworth, and he just decided to stick with his guns. And he's swinging for the fences for a few guys. Jason Matthews is set to make a decision, although LSU looks like the odd man out. He's tried to get Chris Henry after Brian Hartline took the USF job. I mean, Kiffin's coming in, and he's taking his shots. There's no doubt about it. It's just, it's tough when you've been recruited for 4 years. A new coach comes in during the signing period or the week of signing day and says, hey, come play for me instead. Tough order, but certainly they're going to have to hit the portal hard for quarterbacks. I think, Hunt, you're going to need 3 quarterbacks from the transfer portal. So it's going to be a tough calling.
That's really difficult to do. We'll see if he can pull it off. That is something that's going to have to be done in January. Let's talk about some of these staffing situations. I don't know if decisions is the right word. Let's start with the news from last night. The Football Scoop put out that Elijah Robinson is here and potentially could join the staff. We know him from Texas A&M, went up to Syracuse, and didn't have the success he wanted calling defenses, but he's got a great track record down here recruiting and developing defensive linemen. How would you feel if Elijah Robinson was on the staff?
No doubt about it. And Elijah Robinson, also a guy who recruited Lamar Brown heavily. That's worth noting as well. When he was at Texas A&M, I should say, not at Syracuse. Look, it's a good. I like the coach stepped up into a bigger role. It didn't work out, and he could step down into a similar role again. We see that working. Look at Lane Kiffin when he was head coach of USC and went to be OC for Bama. Worked out very well. So. Obviously, Elijah Robinson tried his hand at being a full-time DC at Syracuse. They had like the 124th ranked defense in the country. It didn't work out. And now he's looking to, if I'm going to be stuck on defensive line or whatever, I might as well look into it. He did a good job, with A&M and their defensive line and taking over that team. So I think that'd be a pretty colossal hire. I can't say I'm not a little surprised to see that Ogeron didn't get a call from his buddy Lane Kiffin for that spot, but it's certainly that's certainly not a shabby name you're calling up there instead.
What are your thoughts on the Kevin Smith running back coach, Frank Wilson running back coach situation that Lane Kiffin's got on his hands here?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I'm like everybody else, and I'd love to see Frank stick around. I'm not nuts over Frank Wilson's running back rotation. That being said, he's an elite recruiter. He's got a resume that speaks for itself. He's been able to, I mean, this is the guy who brought in Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis at the same time, you know. But ultimately, what really matters is Kiffin's got to bring in the guy who he feels fits his offense best, who feels fits his system best. You know, the minute you start getting into, hey, Lane Kiffin, we're telling you you have to keep this coach at this position, that's not a position to be successful. That you don't pay a coach a $91 million contract to tell him, hey, this is who you're going to hire and who you're not. If you're so smart of who to hire and who to not, you know, like why pay a coach the big bucks? You know, so that's ultimately my take is whatever makes Kiffin comfortable. If it's Frank Wilson, I'm very happy to see that because of his connections with the state and, you know, what he's been able to do for LSU. But it is what it is.
If Blake Baker takes the Tulane job, do you have a thought on who might be next in Baton Rouge calling the defense?
I have a couple thoughts. A couple guys I've been kind of looking at. I don't know that I'd want to go out and put my name on it. I'd say Wake Forest defensive coordinator Scotty Hazelton is a guy to keep an eye on. A guy who had a defense actually very close to LSU's defensive rankings this year and doing it at Wake Forest, albeit in the ACC. But, we'll have to see. It is kind of surprising that both Blake Baker and Pete Golding were the two guys that we were talking about would possibly be the DC if Lane Kiffin came, and both of them are going to be head football coaches. So next man up for Kiffin, I suppose.
We'll see what the next step is for Lane Kiffin. Got to put that staff together once this early signing period wraps. Preston, try to get a little bit of sleep. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, man.
Oh, I will not be getting sleep, but thanks for asking. You have a great weekend, Hunt.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com with us every Friday. Just had a little one there in the Guy house. I get that. I understand how that goes. You just find a way at that point when you're a couple weeks into it. So thanks to Preston for giving us a little bit of time here on this Friday. I got a question. What's Gerald's doing in the chat? Deuce Gerald's is an hour away from making his announcement. He's looking at LSU, obviously where he is committed, looking at Ole Miss, looking at Georgia Tech as well. So we'll keep you up to date on that an hour from now when pen meets paper for Deuce Gerald's. Lamar Brown, as far as I know, is just kind of a wait-and-see thing whenever somebody announces they got his signature. Maybe he sends out a tweet. Maybe one of the programs sends out a tweet. As we've talked about, my understanding is that LSU feels very, very good about getting Lamar Brown's signature. But until you have the signature, who knows? And we don't know what the delay is. I talked about the clerical issue with Richard Anderson from Wednesday. Like, who had a typo? Let's get that cleaned up and send it back. I don't know what the wait is for Lamar Brown at this point. He said back on Tuesday that he was going to take some time and, you know, get to know the staff, the new staff, and maybe that's what you're waiting on. Maybe he's waiting for decisions from Blake Baker or Frank Wilson or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But if something happens between now and 3 o'clock, we will let you know what happens, and we'll react to it certainly right here. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got a Saints pick coming up in 15 minutes when we come back. Get you set up for a big weekend in the National Football League. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. When I say redesigning and remodeling, you may think dollar signs, you may think invasive, you may think long-term situations that are just really, really, really disruptive. It doesn't have to be. If you've got a tub that you don't use because you don't have two rugrats like I do that you got to throw in the tub and scrub them down every day at 6:30, and all you do is take a shower, but you do it standing in an old dingy tub, well, get rid of it. Get out. Tub to shower conversion. David is happy to come in, take that tub out, put in a gorgeous brand new shower, and this is something that can be 3 to 4 days, 3 to 5 days, less than a week. You could have a brand new look to your bathroom, brand new functionality to your bathroom. It can all be done with a company that's got 30 years experience of getting it done. Go check out the pictures, OneBathAndClosets.com. While you're there, you can get that free consultation, sit down with David, chat with him about what he can do for you. Y'all can put together a plan, and if you need financing, they got it. 0% up to 18 months, same as cash. So go check out the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets, OneBathAndClosets.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Supreme Jasmine is premium American-grown rice. From local farms to your table, every grain is supreme. Pick up a bag of Jasmine or any other of our Supreme American rice.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal. Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's. One love. Let's go.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Got a good email from the folks over at LSU just now. It does not affect me at all, but it very well could affect you, so I'll pass it along. LSU football season ticket cost to remain the same in 2026. There will not be a ticket price hike. And for those that aren't aware, this is the home schedule next year. Well, the highlights. You got Clemson coming into Tiger Stadium. You got Alabama coming into Tiger Stadium. You got Texas coming into Tiger Stadium. You got Texas A&M coming into Tiger Stadium. You also have Mississippi State. But those four, Clemson, Bama, Texas, Texas A&M, that's primetime stuff. And it's not exactly easing into the pool for Lane Kiffin, but it's not like he hadn't been in the SEC previously. That's going to be some fireworks inside Tiger Stadium for SEC games and that Clemson game next year, and you won't have to pay more for it, according to the folks over at LSU. So very cool for LSU for that. My media pass and parking pass will still come in, but I can't tailgate with y'all. So you win some, you lose some, is what it is. All right, let's get ready for the weekend in the National Football League. Tier 4, worst football. By the way, today, a perfect bell curve. Not a lot in Tier 4, not a lot in Tier 1, a lot of meat on the bone in Tiers 3 and 2. But we'll start in Tier 4, Titans and Browns. Yuck. Titans have a 48% chance right now for the top pick. It goes to 67% if they lose this game to the Browns. But if they win, down to 28%. The Saints fans got to be interested in that a little bit. May have an eye on Titans at Browns, but it won't be pretty football. We'll see what Shedeur can do. Broncos are at the Raiders. By the way, coaching matters. Denver's 10-2. The Broncos are on pace to set an NFL sack record this season, and the Raiders allow the second most sacks in the NFL. It's a stat padding day for that Denver defense under Sean Payton. All right, Tier 3, not the best, not the worst. Seahawks are at Atlanta. Seattle is the best in the NFL against the spread this year. Might want to throw some on that. Kirk Cousins, the worst in the NFL, throwing the football down the field this year, and Seattle is the best at limiting completions down the field. Not a great matchup for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. The Commanders are at the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy is back. So is Jaden Daniels. We learned this an hour ago. Both teams had high hopes this year, and right now both are slated to pick in the top 10. This has not been a good year there in Minnesota or in our nation's capital. All right, Dolphins are at the Jets. The Jets have 3 wins already. Were y'all paying attention to that? They have 3 wins already.
Crazy.
Miami has lost 7 straight games in sub 45 degrees. It will be sub 45 degrees in East. It's not East Rutherford anymore. They're just in. Where are they now? Meadowlands?
I know it's New Jersey.
Maybe they are in East Rutherford. Either way, it's going to be cold, and the Dolphins don't play well. The Jets can win again. Saints would like that. All right, Rams are at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 0-8 this year against teams that entered their game with the Cardinals with a winning record. 0-8. The Rams, well, they're 9-3. They have a winning record. They're looking for the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they could get closer to that with a win at Arizona. All right, Tier 2, Bengals at the Bills. Bengals have a bad record, but Joe's back now. And Josh Allen, slumping a little bit, has thrown an interception in 4 straight games. Bengals are clinging to slim playoff hopes. Just 6% that Cincinnati could make the playoffs. Steelers and Ravens in Tier 2. They're 6-6, but the winner's in first place in that bad division. Thought to be the best division. It's not the best division. It's not good. The Ravens started 1-5. They could be in first place. They're 5-1 since, and they've had the best defense in the NFL since Week 7. So Baltimore coming on after a 1-5 start. The Texans are at the Chiefs. Chiefs win, 55% chance they make the playoffs. Loss, 12% chance they make the playoffs. It's a huge game at home for the Chiefs. Unders are 9-3 in Texans games this year. When the temp is under 40, it will be under 40 on Sunday, so you might want to sprinkle on the under there between the Texans and the Chiefs. Then the best action of the day on Sunday, the Colts are at the Jags. Both teams are 8-4. It's in division. Indianapolis has not won at Jacksonville since 2014. That's a division team they have not beaten in 10 years away from home. The winner, 60% chance to win the division. The loser, just a 20% chance to win the division. So a huge one between Indianapolis and Jacksonville in Jacksonville coming up on Sunday. And then you've got the Bears and the Packers, one of the best rivalries in all of football. The Bears have won 8 of 9 games. Remember I was talking about coaching mattering with Sean Payton? Probably matters with Ben Johnson too. They've won 8 of 9 and 5 straight. They play Cleveland in Chicago next week. If they can get this game, you could see a situation where they win 7 games in a row and 10 out of 11. The Packers are 6.5-point favorites in this game. That seems really high against a 9-3 Bears team. 6.5 points. I would have to lean Packers there because that line doesn't make a lot of sense. That is getting you ready for the National Football League. How are we feeling, Jordan? We're a bunch of Jimmy's folks on the Bears.
I'm going to be real, man. That is probably one of the most important games of this year. Yeah. It's like, is this the same old Bears? Because this is the hump that they have to get over. They cannot beat the Packers.
I'm well aware. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers have had ownership over that city for 3 decades. 30 years.
That's a long time.
30 years of Rodgers and Favre, and now Love's playing good, while they've had nothing at quarterback. Some McCowns, some Grossmans. It's been bad. It's been bad. Trubisky. It's a bad scene there on the lakefront. But this is a huge game in Green Bay. And the Bears fans are feeling themselves.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's so important, because it's like, yeah, we know the Bears are having this pretty good season, but also it's like, is it make-believe? I've seen a couple of teams they've beat. It's, this is the real test to me. This game, and you already spoke about it, but the Texans at the Chiefs, I got to know.
Chiefs could be dead.
Is it over with? Are we looking at the fall of Rome right now?
Here's the question I want to ask you.
Yes.
If it's 0 to 10, 10 means I'm dying for Sean Payton to win another Super Bowl in Denver. 0 means I hate this guy.
Okay.
Where are you on that? I hope the Broncos lose.
4.
You're a 4. Paulie, you're a Saints guy. 10, I'd love it if Sean Payton won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. 0, I hate that guy. I wanted to lose
4.
every game. Where are you?
I'm probably with Jordan. I'm like a
4.
4. Yeah.
That makes sense. There's not hatred there, appreciative
but I don't
there,
like him, yes.
but a little bit jealous
Yes.
probably that he's there and is
100%.
taking a Denver team that has an elite defense and he's got Bo Nix playing decent football.
So, like I said, it's more I dislike Sean Payton, but I don't have any.
Is it fair to say it would be a 5 or 6 if the Saints were 9-3?
If the Broncos were in the NFC, it would feel a lot different. It's just because I don't see the Broncos.
But if the Saints were really good and you didn't have to think, well, you left us and we suck, and now you have one of the best records in football.
I'm going to be real, Hunt. If the Saints were really good, I wouldn't even care.
Yeah,
it's like I wouldn't even care about them. But, since we're trash and you're, I'm about to say we're trash and you're doing well. So, it's double birds to Mr. Sean Payton.
All right, I understand. That's a look at the National Football League slate coming up on Sunday. As I mentioned, 2 games in Tier 4, 4 games in Tier 3, 3 games in Tier 2, 2 games in Tier 1. Interesting to see what the Colts and Jags do there. I can't believe it's been 10 years since the Colts won in Jacksonville. That blows my mind. But tough to win on the road, I guess, as they say. All right, let's take a timeout. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. When we come back, we'll pick Saints and the Bucs. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy, GCBR.com. Weekend is here. Weather's a little bit chilly. Might not be great to go play on the course, but you want to hit some golf shots, want to play a little golf. You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. Just get a tee time or just stop in, Segan at Perkins, grab one of those individual bays. It's not like you're out there with a lot of people. You're packed into your individual room. It's like a living room in there. They got couches and televisions. You can get the music playing, and you can play any course that they've got on those simulators. You can play by yourself. You can have 4, 5, 8 guys in there. You can hit some shots, play some holes, or you can hit balls on the range if you like as well. It's a great way to play some golf when the weather is not great or you don't have 5 hours to do it. You can do it in an hour and 10 minutes. It's Swing Easy Golf Club, Segan at Perkins. You can find them online at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
With all the delicious chicken finger options, it was an impossible decision.
How about a box combo? Good. Now what can I get for you?
No, I want a Caniac combo with extra cane sauce, no slaw, 2 extra toast, and a half sweet tea, half lemonade.
Celebrate the holidays with Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
South Louisiana, it's turnaround season, and River Parish Contractors is calling in the best of the best. We're hiring pipe fitters, iron workers, boiler makers, combo and structural welders, rig welders, carpenters, crane operators, dirt operators, and more. If you're ready to work, ready to earn, and ready to build something that lasts, call Big Jake at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
It's time for Christmas on the River, Cajun style. Join us for the 35th Annual Festival of the Bonfires, December 13th through 15th at Lutcher Park in St. James Parish. Enjoy great food, live music, local crafts, Santa's Very Merry Forest, and carnival rides. Plus, we'll light a new bonfire on Friday and Saturday in preparation for the arrival of Papa Noel. The 2024 Festival of the Bonfires is sponsored by First American Bank and Trust. Log on to festivalofthebonfires.org for more information.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free, confidential help now.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you'll likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim, which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
Most roofers just replace your shingles. At Pelican, we diagnose your roof, digging deep down to find the root cause of your roof symptoms. Now cough for me. Good. We don't ignore your roof's issues, we address them. Let's just take care of this right here, helping your roof to become the best version of itself. Interesting that you would say that. How does that?
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
All right, little early from Georgia, but that's okay because it's good news. LSU does get a signature from Deuce Gerald's. In 45 minutes, I will talk about this LSU defensive line class. I got it set there. Gerald's was supposed to announce at 2:30. Maybe it was 2:30 Eastern time, and I just misread it. Possible. But Gerald's does sign with LSU, so that's awesome news for LSU. He's the number 3 defensive lineman in the country, according to the folks at Rival/On3. You had him with Lamar Brown, Trenton Henderson, and with Richard Anderson. It's just a monster defensive line class, and that's a big, big deal for this program when you consider what you've got on the offensive side of the ball, calling shots. To have a defensive front that could potentially have that much talent is a huge, huge deal. So I have time to talk about that. I'm going to do it at 2:30. I want to talk Saints here and make that pick like we do every single week. But I do want to get you all that news. Big, big news for LSU. Awesome that they kept him in the boat. He was looking at Ole Miss pretty hard, looking at Georgia Tech, who made a huge push for him late, and LSU does hold on to Deuce Gerald. So great news for Lane Kiffin and this LSU football program. Big, big, big 3 days on the defensive front thus far. We'll keep you updated if Lamar Brown makes things official here moving forward. So let's transition to the Saints. You know, there was a time there 2 weeks ago where we kind of were feeling okay about the Saints. You'd won a game on the road, and then you go into the bye, and then all of a sudden you look up, and it had been 3 weeks since you had lost a game. And you're like, well, all right, let's see. And then you go out there, and you just don't play very well. And then you lose another game in Miami last week after losing to the Falcons, and it's just like, okay, all that sour taste is back. So now you go on the road to play the team that's in first place in your division. The Buccaneers are the class of the division. I know the Panthers have played very well. They've very much impressed me and have done far better than anyone would have imagined they've done. But still, Tampa is in first place by half a game and has the easiest remaining schedule in the division. So they're the favorites here, and for good reason. They've been the class of the division for a couple of years. So now the Saints go to Tampa and to see what they can do. And before we get into this week's game, I thought it was relevant to go back and look at the last time these two teams played in New Orleans. And that was a poor exercise to go through because it was an awful football game for the Saints. It was fine for Tampa. It was awful for the Saints. This is the game where Spencer Rattler lost his job. And Rattler comes out there in the first half. The Saints can only produce a field goal. He goes 15 of 21 with just a truckload of checkdowns. He throws an interception, sacked 3 times, QBR of 11.9. And finally, Kellen Moore goes, we got to make a change. So they go to Tyler Shuck, and he gets the ball down the field a little bit more, but they still literally don't score a single point in the second half. His QBR was 6.4. He was sacked twice, threw a pick in the game. And the Saints did absolutely zero on the ground, 15 carries for 48 yards. That's about 3 yards per pop. Kamara, 6 carries, 21 yards. Then Taysom, 2 carries for 6 yards. Then your quarterbacks carried it a little bit. But your long run in that game was 7 yards from Spencer Rattler. It was a terrible offensive showing by the Saints at home against a tough defense with a good front. And your offensive line just hasn't played well enough to deal with these guys. And they certainly didn't in that game. So now you look forward to this game coming up on Sunday. And, Jordan, you've got the injury report as it's updated. So give me the names on that list and what we know.
All right, so from Mike Triplett, he said Alvin Kamara, Fuaga, Justin Reed, they're going to be out.
Okay.
Chris Olave was back at practice today for the second straight day. And Jonas Sanker was back after missing 1 day with a head injury.
Okay, and then Tyler Shuck will get this entire game. Obviously, that's a difference in this game. So you look at Kamara being out. That means you go back to what you were working with last week, which is theoretically a stronger dose of Devin Neal. And then you're going to go to Evan Hull and probably Taysom Hill. And last week, the Saints gave the ball to Devin Neal 14 times for 47 yards. That's 3.5 yards a pop. They gave the ball to Evan Hull 5 times for 15 yards. You can do that math. It's 3 yards a pop. And the Saints' long run in this game was 8 yards. We talked to Luke Johnson yesterday, and he said, he didn't mince words, like the Saints' running game is broken. And I talked all offseason about how there's a part of this that is acquiring for the future, and there's a part of this that's creating an ecosystem conducive to developing a quarterback. Whether that's Spencer Rattler, whether that's Tyler Shuck, whatever, you're trying to do that. And when you cannot run the ball at all, you're not doing that. And the Saints cannot run the ball at all. And what is the carryover from that? Well, I look up at the box score against Miami last week, and Tyler Shuck gets sacked 4 times. Because they don't have to care at all about you running the ball. Well, they're just going to pin their ears back and come. And they did. And they sacked your quarterback 4 times. And he was rushed and he was hurried. And Shuck, to his credit, does make some plays off schedule. That touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to Devon Vele was highlight reel worthy. It was awesome. But it's not something you can build your offense around. That's a talented player making a play, and I love to see that. But I need something a little bit more replicable, and the Saints haven't been able to create that. So for me going into this game with Tampa and understanding what they've got up front, which is a load, it's just hard for me. It's hard for me to sit here and go, all right, well, first establish the run game. It's a waste of breath. It's a waste of oxygen to go, well, they can't establish a run game. They haven't gotten the run game going really all year. They did it a little bit against the Giants. That's kind of it. So it falls on if the Saints are going to keep this game close. It doesn't fall on the running game. It doesn't fall on Shuck throwing for 335, which, look, Tampa's been giving up some plays through the air. They have allowed some damage to be done against their secondary. I mean, you don't have to go back a long way. You can go back last week against the Cardinals, and Jacoby Brissett, he threw for 301 last week. I wouldn't suggest he's an all-pro. The week before that, Matt Stafford was incredible. He was 25 of 35 for 3 touchdowns, 273 yards. Like, I don't expect Shuck to play at a Matt Stafford level. He might be the MVP of the league. But this is a susceptible defense. It's through the air. Shuck's going to have to throw it a little bit, but ultimately the defense is going to have to play great. That's what you're going to have to do. And look, this Tampa team was held to 20 last week by the Cardinals, held to 7 by the Rams, held to 23 by New England, held to 23 by New Orleans, held to 9 by Detroit. Like, there's a sample size that suggests that the Bucs aren't as explosive as they should be. Now, Mike Evans being out has been a big piece of that. Becker has not had his weapons. He's having to rely a lot on Ibuka. The defense is going to have to keep the Saints in this game. That's the only chance. You're not going to run the ball a lot, and I don't count on Shuck to throw for 325. He could. I'm not counting on it. The defense is your hope here. And we've seen at times the Saints defense show up and keep the Saints around. The Dolphins scored 21. The Falcons scored 24. The Panthers scored 7. The Bucs scored 23. The Bears scored 26. Patriots scored 19. Giants scored 14. Like, you've been decent on defense. That's your hope. And I think that is why this line is less than I thought it would be. It's 8.5. I thought it might be closer to 10 because I just don't count on the Saints to score any. But ultimately, as I look at this game, my assumption is that the Bucs will cover because I don't trust the Saints offense to do much of anything. I will take Tampa to win this game 27-13. I don't think that's a disastrous effort, but more importantly than the scoreboard, what does Shuck do against a susceptible defense? The offensive line is going to have to help. But if Jacoby Brissett can go out there and throw for 301, then Shuck should be able to do something. Vele broke out a little bit last week. Olave returned to practice, should be back. I need to see something through the air in this game. That's more important to me than the scoreboard. Show me something through the air. That's what I need from the Saints. I think they lose the game 27-13, but I'd like to see something through the air. We'll see. Saints and Bucs from Tampa, 12 o'clock on CBS, coming up on Sunday. As we mentioned at the top of the segment, Deuce Gerald's inks with LSU. That's the news thus far of the day. And I do see now that Bryson Cooley, LSU commitment, has flipped to Alabama. That was very much expected. Offensive lineman, 6'6", 330 tackle, been committed to the Tigers since the summer, and he has flipped his commitment and signature to Alabama. That was expected, so that's the, I believe, third defection from LSU's class. That was always going to happen. You were going to have some attrition. That just happened here, kind of working on the fly. But you do get the commitment from a signature from Deuce Gerald's. Bryson Cooley flips, and so that's what you're looking at here from an LSU recruiting perspective. I want to talk about LSU's entire class, especially the defensive line, in 35 minutes. We will step aside for national headlines at SportsCenter. Chris Marler is going to be at the SC Championship game tomorrow. We'll talk to him from Atlanta about what he expects there, and we'll also talk about LSU's recruiting efforts over the course of the last 3 days in the second hour as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll pause for SportsCenter. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Hope your Friday's been great. Come back with us for one more hour on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
New sponsor here at The Hunt Palmer Show. Thrilled to tell you about Lifetime Roofing. Lifetime Roofing, Baton Rouge-based company, but they service the entire state of Louisiana, plus over in Houston as well. So no matter where you're listening to us, there's pretty good odds that Lifetime Roofing is there in your area. They're actively hiring right now, and I wanted to let y'all know that. One of the only legitimate W-2 roofing companies in the entire state. They offer benefits. They offer 401k. So if you're in that line of work, looking for somewhere to work, Lifetime Roofing is a wonderful option for you. They are veteran owned and operating. They do re-roofing inspections, and those inspections can give you the peace of mind to know that most of our most important investments, our biggest investment, our home, and certainly the family in that home, are protected. Of course, they can do repairs and re-roofs as well. So check them out online. It's lifetimeroofingla.com. Great new sponsor here on the Hunt Palmer Show. It's Lifetime Roofing. Check them out online, lifetimeroofingla.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Most roofers just replace your shingles. At Pelican, we diagnose your roof, digging deep down to find the root cause of your roof symptoms. Now call for me? Good. We don't ignore your roof's issues, we address them. Let's just take care of this right here. Helping your roof to become the best version of itself. Interesting that you would say that. How does that make you feel? So call Pelican Roofing for your free roof checkup today.
South Louisiana, it's turnaround season, and River Parish Contractors is calling in the best of the best. We're hiring pipe fitters, iron workers, boiler makers, combo and structural welders, rig welders, carpenters, crane operators, dirt operators, and more. If you're ready to work, ready to earn, and ready to build something that lasts, call Big Jake at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith with Locke Meredith Sean Fagan & Associates. We take great pride in educating our clients about their rights. Whether you're injured at work or while you drive, call our office at 272-5555. Knowledge is power, and you should know your rights after an injury.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith Sean Fagan & Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country, in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Ed Benke. The draw for the 2026 World Cup has just been completed, and the United States has drawn Paraguay for its opener. It will take place in Los Angeles on June 12th. The U.S. will also face Australia on June 19th in Seattle. The college football and championship weekend begins tonight with 4 title tilts on the schedule, including on ESPN at 7 Eastern. Troy at number 25, James Madison for the Sun Belt Championship. American Conference Championship on ABC at 8 Eastern will be number 24, North Texas at 20th ranked Tulane. Meanwhile, more conference titles along with college football playoff spots will be settled tomorrow. ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit talked about why Miami Notre Dame may be keeping an eye on the BYU game.
If Texas Tech beats BYU again, convincingly, I really think the committee set Notre Dame and Miami up. That's been a discussion for the last 3 or 4 weeks, as you know, but Miami's been too far away from Notre Dame.
5 more games are on the schedule tomorrow. NFL news, Cardinals announced quarterback Kyler Murray is done for the year. Meanwhile, the Commanders get quarterback Jaden Daniels back on Sunday against the Vikings. The Bengals get receiver T. Higgins back for their game against Buffalo. The Bills will be without defenseman Joey Bosa. ESPN Radio tonight, Lakers Celtics, 6:30 Eastern.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming up Monday from Week 14 in the NFL to championship weekend in college football. I'll recap it all in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Last hour of the week for us here. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Championship Saturday coming up tomorrow around the country. It'll be Alabama, not LSU. LSU will not be playing in the SEC Championship game this year. That's breaking news. We're going to break that here first on the Hunt Palmer Show. However, there will be an LSU presence there because Lane Kiffin's going on game day. And there'll be a LouisianaSports.net presence there because Chris Marler's going to be there, and he joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, where are you?
I am in my living room. We just put up a Christmas tree. Allie and Pepper say hello. We probably could have done this from the studio. I'm about to get on the road to the airport to head to Atlanta.
Flying to Atlanta. Okay, I didn't know you were flying.
I am. I'm a little bit nervous. The Frontier, which I've never flown on, but it was like very, very affordable, almost too affordable to feel comfortable with. But yeah, I'm flying there, so fingers crossed we get to Atlanta sometime tonight around 8:15 Eastern.
You'll be just fine. I think it'll be awesome. All right, let's talk about the game tomorrow. Bama does not have to win this game, right? They're in the playoff even if they lose.
I think they are. It would be. I just think you're going to have a revolt on your hands from Greg Sankey, especially. I understand. I always say this, right? Like I grew up in Atlanta as a Red Sox fan in the '90s because of my family ties, and like I hate the Yankees. I get it. Like I hated watching the Yankees all the time. I know people hate Alabama, and I understand why. I sat here as loud as I could last year, whether it was on LouisianaSports.net or any of the 18 podcasts I was on. Like I thought Bama did not deserve at all to be in the playoff last year. That is not the same this year. They absolutely deserve to be in it. And I think that if you take it, not just a conference championship, like loser out of the playoff scenario if they're already in, especially if you take an SEC like championship loss, that team out of the playoff field when they're already in it, that's insane. I cannot see Greg Sankey not having a complete meltdown about that if it happens. So, I mean, you know, I've written about a lot of things this week, mainly about my hatred spewing for Notre Dame and like why they're just getting a red carpet treatment on it. But yeah, I mean, I think that'll be the case.
Do you think the championship games will still be here in 5 years?
It's a good question. Honestly, you know, Peter Burns talked about this a while back, and I thought it was a really good point. I think what we're going to see is something that's moved to a regular season champion that we'll crown, and then you'll have a weekend or just one game that is like, hey, the 5th and 6th team in this conference are going to fight for a spot to get into the playoff. I think if you see 4 auto bids from each conference, which is potentially a thing, especially in the SEC and Big Ten, I think you might see something like, hey, we're going to have 1 versus 2 play for a championship, but then 3 versus 6 for a spot in the playoff and 4 versus 5 for a spot in the playoff also might happen. And I got to say, man, like as much of a traditionalist as I am, I kind of would be down for that from the SEC standpoint. Now, there's no part of me that is ever going to willingly watch 8-4 Iowa play 10-2 or 11-1 Penn State for a shot at the 15th seed. But I mean, I do think in the SEC, you look at last year, especially, Hunt, man, like how awesome would it have been to watch, Bama, South Carolina, LSU, Ole Miss, or whatever it would have been for a chance to get in as the 3 and 4 spots in the SEC.
Yeah, there tends to be a logjam, but now there's a logjam kind of at the top, which is weird, and it's probably going to cost Vanderbilt. But I want to talk about the game in the Georgia Dome. Do you have a good explanation, other than the fact that they just have really good players and really good coaches, why Alabama has been the team that has given Georgia the most problem and that Georgia can't seem to get over that hump? Is there some connective tissue between the games?
I don't know, but it's awesome. I'll tell you that. Just to be honest. I don't get it. I've said this every year, and me and Matt gives me such a hard time about this because he's always like, another emotional hedge from Marlon. I'm like, dude, at some point, like you just expect Georgia to break through. And the only time that they've ever broken through, Hunt, really in the past 15 years is this when they got the rematch against Bama after the SEC championship game. But even that, I think that was like the biggest proof, or maybe even the 2023 game with Jalen Milroe, where he has a great game, and Georgia had lost in like 3 years, and they somehow beat them again. It's just like I don't know what is going on. I do think there's clearly some sort of mind obstacle, and that's the kindest non-4-letter word I can phrase it with Kirby Smart, because it's like you saw it this year. I mean, Bama hadn't allowed a second half point to Alabama in the game this year, and they're going down on like the 3-yard line to score. And instead of just kicking the field goal, tying up, and taking all the momentum and making Bama like force their hand, you go for a 4th and 1 with some like kind of gimmicky play. It's happened so many times. It shocks me still every single time. I got to say, maybe I'm just back to my normal emotional hedge, and we're just doing the circle of life thing here. I would be shocked if Georgia doesn't win this Saturday, though.
My take on Alabama watching the Iron Bowl last week, I just didn't like the amount of creativity they needed to use on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 2. Like, is that a sincere concern for this team, not only Saturday, but when they play a playoff game?
I've been saying it since the beginning of the year, and there was against Georgia, they were awesome. It was like all these new little wrinkles and tricks, and against Georgia last year, they were awesome in those situations, especially in the first half. There was a play at the end of the Georgia game in the start of this year where it was like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and Bama. This is the first time we saw they cannot run the ball. Like they just cannot run the ball, and they ran like a kind of like a misdirection where they sprint left and then turn around and hit the running back in the flat on the right, and he goes for 6-7 yards, lays down, ball game. I thought it was a beautiful call. Now, Hunt, the next week they're playing Vanderbilt, pretty good team. But 4th and 1, I would love to see an Alabama team be able to line up with all those 5-stars on the O-line, and they go play action pass for an interception. You've seen it all year where it's like listen, it's very cute that Caden Proctor gets to run the Wildcat. Sure, it would be cooler, Kalen DeBoer, if you lined his ass up over there at left tackle and run behind him. It's all very simple. So it's like. I think that it's that inability to be able to run the ball. I think you hit the nail on the head. That inability. And now here's the other thing, too. Now you're going to be without Jam Miller at running back. He's going to be out. And you talk about even in the 2023 game, he catches a wheel route out of the backfield to score. Like, they're beat up. And I think you're right. How big is the playbook? I mean, it's like I don't think it's Waterboy levels of thin for the playbook and whatever Coach what's his name was from that movie. But, like, I do feel like you got to be towards the back of the book at this point.
Coach Klein with the green notebook. There it is. Down here at SC LSU, the Mud Dogs. All right, so I think you're leaning Georgia there, and we'll see Alabama and Georgia both in the playoff, no matter who hosts the hardware tomorrow evening in Atlanta. You got to lean on Ohio State, Indiana?
Let me just ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I need you in this moment more than anything, because you're the most rational person I know. If I say Alabama's going to win. That has no outcome or impact on the game, right? Like, I'm not going to jinx it.
It doesn't jinx it. I'm as cautious as they come in those perspectives, but it's not going to jinx it.
I still can't do it. Indiana, Ohio State. I think it's going to be interesting. I honestly think Indiana's the best team in the country, and I think we've seen very limited action from either of these two teams where they've had to go play anybody with a pulse. Like, I think between the two, Indiana has played better. Ohio State is the quietest number one I have ever seen in the history of college football. It's just like they just show up, they dismantle a team 35-10,
yep,
and then they just go about their merry way every single week. I think Indiana is a very good team in the trenches. I love what they did against Illinois, who's a good team, even though I don't think they're ranked right now. What they're able to do against them, obviously going on the road against Oregon. I think that when it gets to this time of year, it's one of the reasons I don't believe in Texas A&M. It's when you get to this time of year, I'm okay with you being 10-2. I'm okay with you not being undefeated if I know that, hey, this team is like battle tested and they know who they are when it comes to like the biggest like parts of the season where you're going to be in crunch time and know like, hey, our backs have been up against the wall at some point. We were able to overcome that. We know how to win in these moments. I don't know if Ohio State knows how to do that. Like they just haven't played a schedule where they've been forced to do that yet. And I think Indiana has, and I think Indiana's going to win tomorrow.
It just concerns me as someone who doesn't want A&M to win the national championship that we're talking about Indiana being the best team in the country. They may be awesome. It scares me. I want like the Saban death machine or the Kirby death machine to make, or the Urban Meyer death machine to make sure A&M can't get there. And I don't feel that comfort right now. We'll see how that shakes out over the next month.
You need the South Carolina first half death machine.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. How was that second half? Was that good? Was that a good
Pretty
second
awful.
half? It was
we
not
watched
great.
it together.
We sure did, and it was very sad. All right, well, fly safe on Frontier, and we'll see you on Monday.
Thanks, guys. See you then.
He's Chris Marler, LouisianaSports.net. He's our SEC writer over there and does an awesome job. He'll be in the building for the SEC Championship tomorrow. All right, so I've got a few things we got to do until we get out of here. We got 50 minutes left. We're still waiting on Lamar Brown. To my knowledge, my phone hasn't suggested anything's happened there, so we'll let you know immediately when that happens, if it does. But nothing right now, so let's step aside. When we come back, I want to talk about this basketball game on Sunday. Texas Tech's very good, and I've watched a lot of them this morning. I've looked at the statistics on them this morning. I'm looking at the matchups between LSU and Texas Tech. I think we're in for a really good game on Sunday. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a great litmus test for LSU, and I want to talk about it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. I'm not 100% sure it was actually the First American Bank, but it did start in 1910. So they've been around quite a minute. It's First American Bank and Trust. 115 years later, they're still here, and they're bigger and better than ever. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. When you're working with a bank, what's the worst thing? The worst thing is when you have an issue or you have a question or you have something that you need to do and you can't talk to anybody. You're calling this call center and they're on hold in Chicago and they don't know who you are. You're on the phone with Atlanta. None of that's happening at First American Bank and Trust. All of their decisions are made locally. All of their call centers are local. They're part of your community, whether you're in Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, St. Tammany, over in Hammond, if you're in Dutchtown right next to Baton Rouge, Jones Creek. You're dealing with people that walk around with you every day, and they're here to help you. Plus, they have all the resources that you need in a bank. They have 25 locations, not just a mom and pop shop, but it's going to feel like that with the customer service. That's First American Bank and Trust. Their management team, branch to branch, you're talking about an average of 25 years with the bank. They know what they're doing. They've got the capabilities to do it, and they're right here with a community feel. So if you're looking for a bank for that commercial loan, for that residential loan, First American Bank and Trust.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Supreme Jasmine is premium American-grown rice. From local farms to your table, every grain is supreme. Pick up a bag of Jasmine or any other of our Supreme American rice.
This menu is a masterpiece, delivers every time.
This is the worst party ever. Raising Cane's!
Let's go!
The party is saved!
Peter, Mr. Billingsley.
Celebrate the holidays with Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know each case and client are unique and that no two cases are the same. But one thing remains constant, and that is our passion to help our clients. After an accident, we know your life has changed, which is why we passionately fight to make you and your family whole. Remember, whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. We're here to serve you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Investing in a new roof doesn't have to be overwhelming. At Pelican Roofing, we offer 0 interest for 21 months because everyone deserves a safe, secure home. Trusted, local, affordable. Pelican Roofing, making quality roofing affordable for South Louisiana families.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got a Christmas party coming up. You want to feed the office for lunch. Thinking, well, who can feed in bulk? Corks can. Get you a big old tray of that crispy fried catfish, big old tray of jumbo Gulf shrimp. They're happy to help you out with that. The shoestring fries are excellent. All the sauces you could want. I'm partial to the Corks sauce, but they got your cocktail, they got your tartar, of course, ketchup, and all the fixins as well. They're on government between Foster and Jefferson. Great to drive on through. You can dine in their beautifully renovated dining room as well. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website, CorksFishandShrimp.com. All right, LSU basketball is 8-0 for the first time in 5 years. And they're going to travel to Fort Worth on Tuesday to take on Texas Tech, who's ranked 19th in the country. Red Raiders are 6-2, and this is going to be a real litmus test for the Tigers. This is going to be a much bigger test than Boston College. This is going to be a much bigger test than Drake. Much bigger test than DePaul. LSU has Drake's mid-major, but DePaul certainly Power 5 in the Big East, and you're talking about an ACC team in Boston College, but those are towards the bottom. Like Drake's probably a pretty good mid-major, although they lost half their team. But this is a high-level Power 5 team here. Texas Tech is going to be a threat in the Big 12. I don't think they'll win the Big 12, but they're a threat. They're 6-2 on the season. They beat Lindenberg by 38. They beat Sam Houston by 21. Beat Milwaukee by 17. Beat UNO, which, by the way, UNO beat TCU and was in a overtime game with Mississippi State. And Texas Tech beat them by 32. LSU, of course, housed them too. Beat Wyoming by 4. Beat Wake Forest by 1. They have 2 losses. They lost at Illinois in Champaign, a top 15 team, by 4 points. It was a really tight game. And then they went and played in the Bahamas against number 1 Purdue and lost by 30. But Purdue's real good, okay? So I'm not going to hold that against them too much. But I was looking at their numbers, and then I looked at them on film against on YouTube, as I should say. I'm not like I was sitting there chopping it up and Matt Flinning it. But watch the highlights of their game against Illinois. And you're talking about a Texas Tech team that has as good a post scorer and post player as LSU might see all year. JT Toppin was last year's Big 12 Player of the Year. He's 6'9", 230 pounds. He's a junior. He transferred in from New Mexico. And he's really good. And Michael Nwoku is going to have his hands full with Toppin. He's averaging 22 points a game. He shoots 54%, and it is all around the bucket. He's 2 out of 16 from three-point range, and he's less than a 50% free throw shooter. But he gets the ball on the block, and he is going to get to his left hand no matter what, and he usually makes it. In their game at Champaign against a top 15 Illinois team, he was 17 of 25, 35 points and 11 rebounds. And that's what he's going to do. He averages 22 a night, and he will get at you. And this will be the test for Michael Nwoku on defense. This is what you can't have happen on Sunday. You can't have Texas Tech throw the ball down in there to JT Toppin and him get Mike Nwoku in foul trouble early in this game. Because you don't have Jalen Reed, and I don't want Robert Miller guarding JT Toppin, and I don't want Marquel Sutton guarding him either, because Sutton is really important to what LSU's trying to do offensively in terms of shooting the three and putting the ball on the floor. Like, I don't want him guarding him either. You need Nwoku to guard this guy, and that's got to happen. And it can't if you get into foul trouble. So if you need to send double teams to get the ball out of his hand, do it. Need to make sure you do a quick dig and recover, do it. You got to deny and make them throw over the top, do it. Like, you can't play this guy straight up, I don't think. If Nwoku can play this guy straight up, that'll be a statement to me that he can do that every night in the SEC. Because Toppin is legit. You're Big 12 Player of the Year, you can play. And he was that. So that's the biggest problem that LSU will have in this game, is dealing with Toppin. But they're more equipped this year than they were last year. They would have had no one for him last year. Damian Collins would have had no chance. Corey Chess would have had no chance. Like, they would not have had anybody to guard him. They got Nwoku. He's got to deal with him in this game. Now, you have to be careful, and you might say, well, play a zone. You play a zone, you make it tougher on a guy around the block to get buckets, and that's true. But the backcourt that Texas Tech has in Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell, two A's names, both shooting better than 41% from three-point range this season. Christian Anderson's averaging 18 a game, and Atwell's averaging 12.5. They're in double figures with Toppin. So this is a balanced team. This is a good team that LSU is going to play. I looked at some of their numbers thus far. The sample size is still short. You're talking about 5 weeks of basketball. But Illinois is 84th in the country in points per game. They are 33rd in threes made. They're 27th in the country, which you're talking about over 330 teams. It's not like football where it's 136. You're at 330. So if you're in the top 30, which they are in three-point attempts, you shoot a lot of threes. So that's the formula for Texas Tech. Shoot threes with the wings. That clears space for the Big 12 Player of the Year down on the block. And they offensive rebound excellently. 6th in the nation in offensive rebound, and a lot of that's Toppin. So they present a lot of problems for you on offense. And if you're on defense, you're LSU, you've got to find a way to limit them. And some teams have, and some teams have not. LSU can't do what Purdue did. They don't have the players. Purdue held them to 56. But they got 77 on Illinois. They got 82 on UNO. They got 98 on Sam Houston. They got 98 on Lindenwood. Like, they can score. LSU's got to score too. And LSU has been as good as anybody in the country in field goal percentage. It's against bad teams, but they've done a really good job. And right now, Texas Tech is 114th in the country in opponents' points per game. They're giving up more than 70 a game. So they haven't been awesome on defense. Here's what I'd like if we flip things around. LSU offensively. I'd like the ball to go into the post to Nwoku. I want JT Toppin playing defense. I want him playing defense. If he blocks a couple shots, I still want him playing defense because I want to see if you can get him in foul trouble. It flips. And last year, LSU would not have had anyone to throw the ball to try to get a big in foul trouble. You can try to drive on him, but Cam Carter was 6'3" and slender. Jordan Sears was 5'10". I want Max McKinnon driving to the rim at 6'6". I want Markel Sutton driving to the rim at 6'9", and I want Mike Nwoku touching the basketball. And I want to make JT Tobin play defense. This will be a test for LSU offensively. And look, LSU was awesome against DePaul on offense, just awesome for 2 halves. Awesome. And then they were good for the first half in the game on Wednesday at Boston College. And then they just stunk. I don't expect that to happen again, but it's always possible. If they come out and shoot it like they did in the second half against Boston College, they'll get run off the floor. But this is a game. It doesn't determine your outcome in SEC play relative to your record. But if LSU can go out there against Texas Tech in Fort Worth, where I think it'll be a 60-40 Tech crowd. LSU's got alumni in Dallas, and they'll get some people there. But if LSU can hold their own with Texas Tech and get into a tight game late, that'll be a bit of a message to me. I don't know if it's a message to the SEC. I don't think they really care, but it'll be a message to me that this team's got a better chance. If you can go out there and get into a 1-possession game, a 2-possession game with this team, 2 or 3 minutes to go, and then if you could win the game, like that's a statement. Because Texas Tech is very good. They're very, very good. Like Illinois took on Alabama in Champaign and played them close. And Illinois just edged out Texas Tech. This is a game that will tell me a lot about where LSU is. And I'm very excited. 2 o'clock on ESPN2 on Sunday. I know most of y'all will be on the Saints. I'll have it both working. But I want to see what LSU's made of in this game. I don't think you tell me against Boston College. I don't think you tell me against Drake. You can tell me against Texas Tech. SMU's playing well. You'll see them a week down the road in the Smoothie King Center. But this is a big one for LSU and Matt McMahon's team. You can prove a point this week, and if you go up there and lose by 14, like it's going to be a question mark. Doesn't mean like you can play bad. Teams play bad, and you might lose by 14, and then you still might have a really good year. I'm not going to boil the entire season down to 40 minutes of basketball, but this is a big one for LSU. I'm excited to watch it. LSU and Texas Tech from Fort Worth on Sunday. I'll tell you how I feel about it, how it goes at the end of the show today, but I'm excited to watch. All right, let's take a time out. Let's come back and talk some football. I want to talk about some statistics that I dug up for LSU that are on the website, LouisianaSports.net, and I want to talk about this defensive line class and what this signals for LSU. We'll do all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hitter's House at Marucci. It is open for business at the Hitter's House. You got a youth baseball player in your house, youth softball player in your house, you're going to want to get by at the Hitter's House. You can shop and save this holiday season until December the 14th. You still got 9 more days. Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can get on by and get huge discounts on some of your favorite gear, whether you're talking about Marucci, Victus, Balm, Lizard Skin, The Stable. Maybe you're talking about bat grips, golf grips. That's not something you've looked into. Do it at the Hitter's House. You can take some hacks in the cage or go on the Marucci campus tour. If you do that, you get 20% off in the Hitter's House that same day. For more information on tickets for the campus tour, you can check out maruccisports.com/campus-tour. That's maruccisports.com/campus-tour. It's the Hitter's House at Marucci, open until December 14th.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades, but our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs, and lost income. Life can be turned upside down. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we'll work to turn your world right side up. Hire us, and like thousands of our clients, you'll be glad you did.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. So I'll let y'all know exactly what just happened in that commercial break. You're usually not privy to the things that happen in the 3 minutes that we're off the air. You're going to get the whole picture here. So we went to break, and I walked out into the hallway. Cade Wassan, 2 offices down to the left. Cade, of course, hosts Louisiana Prep Preview. He'll get you ready for high school action tonight, semifinal stuff. I said, Cade, it's 2:30. Does U-High have a game tonight? He said, yes, they're at St. Charles Catholic. So I go, okay. So U-High's got to get on a bus and go to St. Charles Catholic. That's like an hour and a half. Like, they're about to have to leave. If there's no facts or no official word, like, that's a bit of a problem. And I was prepared 2.5 minutes ago to come to this microphone and say, guys, I'm a little concerned because he's got to get on a bus in a second. And there's no word. Like, where is it? And then I sat down, walked right back down the hall, plopped down in my chair, got a notification on my phone. LSU football, state of football, Lamar Brown officially signed. Maybe you just heard it here first. That'd be great if we broke that news to you here. But I feel a lot better about it right now than I did 3 minutes ago when we just went to break. Lamar Brown has officially signed his letter of intent to play football at LSU. And that completes this defensive line haul that I want to talk about right now. You look at what LSU has added in this class, and it's significant for multiple reasons. It's significant, one, because as I talked about, when LSU was in the hiring process, you knew when you got Lane Kiffin that you were going to have him take care of the offensive side of the football. He put up mega points at Bama with an all-star team. He put up mega points at Florida Atlantic with 3 stars and 2 stars. He put up mega points at Ole Miss with better than average SEC talent, I would suggest. Not elite talent, not flooding the NFL draft annually. Some good players. And he's going to take care of the offensive side here. But you've got to deal with the defense. We've seen Lane Kiffin field terrible defenses in Oxford. Now, Pete Goling helped with that, but they've had bad defenses. You're going to have some folks take care of defense while he's the head coach. And starts with personnel. and you sign 4 defensive linemen in this class that all the websites and all the evaluators and really all the football programs in the area, in the region, think are really good. Lamar Brown is the number 1 prospect in the nation when you take all of the services and aggregate their rankings. Number 1. Richard Anderson is the number 1 defensive lineman in the nation per Rivals. Deuce Gerald's is the number 3 defensive lineman in the nation, according to Rivals. And Trenton Henderson is a consensus top 10 edge player in this class. And you got them to sign on the dotted line with a brand new coach, with uncertainty with your defensive coordinator's future, in a positive way for Blake Baker. I'm certainly not blaming him for that. It's positive. And with uncertainty defensive line coach. You got them in the fold. And I'm well aware of the era we live in where every time you celebrate Walker Howard and Zalance Hurd and they sign their letter of intent and then 10 months down the road, they're out of here. I get it. Like, I know how that goes. But the best way I know to win games and field a great team year over year is to accumulate great players. And I would prefer that they come from the high school ranks, while I understand you've got to use the portal to supplement, and Lane Kiffin's perfectly equipped to do that. LSU making a statement with 4 players of that caliber on the defensive front that have signed their letters of intent. You've got 2 from the state of Louisiana, 1 from Georgia who's an Ole Miss legacy, but he's got roots in Baton Rouge, then 1 from the Florida Panhandle. That's a big deal. And you add them with Buddy Mathis, who played very well this year as a freshman, and then 2 classes ahead, you got Bro and McKinley, Relaford. You've got to play well on the defensive front, and LSU is adding these guys. And again, I want to be clear. I know that there's no guarantee these 4 guys are even on the team next year. But, well, next season you feel good about it. The year following, their second season in college. This is a big deal to get those 4 guys to the finish line. It doesn't surprise me at all that LSU flipped some wide receivers that were committed to Ole Miss. It doesn't surprise me at all that you went and got a tight end. It's not going to surprise me when Lane Kiffin grabs a quarterback in this portal class. It's not going to surprise me when a couple of players from Ole Miss come to LSU. But it was a tenuous spot there where, well, let's just call it what it is. Wednesday was signing day. Faxes were flying. Richard Anderson did not send his paperwork in. Lamar Brown did not send his paperwork in. Trenton Henderson did not send his paperwork in. Deuce Gerald's did not send his paperwork in. 4 guys, signing day, nothing. Like, you can sit back and go, well, it'll come. They're committed. No big deal. Clerical error. Lamar just wants to take some time. But when you take time, you introduce variables. You introduce possibilities. And there was a chance when nothing came on Wednesday that you weren't going to get anything. Now, it wasn't likely that all 4 were going to leave. But I know Lamar Brown visited with Lane Kiffin on Sunday. We have pictures of it. I know that Bryce Brown came to LSU to chat, Carr's head coach. And I know that Big Richard Anderson was on the phone with him. And I know that Deuce Gerald's was getting a full court press from Ole Miss and a full court press from Georgia Tech. And I know that Trenton Henderson was kind of looking around. And ultimately, LSU grabbed them all. So whether or not you want to say, great job, Lane Kiffin, whether or not you want to say, thank goodness Frank Anderson, that's Tennessee's old pitching coach who's with the Giants now. Frank Wilson is still here, thank goodness, got the New Orleans kid. Whether you want to say, great job by Billy Glasscock, the new GM, great job by the former staff, great job by the collective. However you want to slice it, LSU made this work. And that's a credit to them. And while I like the fact that LSU signed some wide receivers, and I like the fact that they grabbed a couple of offensive linemen, and I'm good with a lot of the pieces on offense. What I'm looking for as LSU builds this roster, how good is your personnel on defense? Because that's the biggest variable in a Lane Kiffin program. That's the biggest variable. The offense is really not that variable. We talked about it for all week. They're going to finish between 1st and 18th in the country in total offense and scoring. It's just kind of what he does everywhere he goes. But the variables on defense are big and wide and swinging. And this stuff helps. They may not be huge helps in 2026. They may be. But this is what you need to do. Build that defense through personnel. Find the right coordinator to coordinate them if Blake Baker's not there. And that's where you start to cultivate a championship level program. Most people listening to this feel like Lane Kiffin is going to develop a championship level program at LSU because we've seen it done by other coaches. We've seen what he did at a school with fewer resources than Ole Miss. We've seen what he did with Alabama's offense. And you feel like he's going to do similar things at LSU. But the defense has got to come with the offense. And this is big, big stuff from LSU to get all four of those guys who did not sign on the dotted line to put their name on the dotted line by the end of the early signing period on Friday. Like, they could have drawn this out to the late signing period. They don't have to wait. If you're going to enroll early, you can sign your financial aid papers and enroll in school in January if you want. There was not pressure on them to make this call or they were out in the cold. And they all decided to make that call. This is really, really good stuff for LSU. And who knows how much Kyle Williams had to do with it? I think a lot. Who knows how much Elijah Robinson had to do with it? Probably not very much, but maybe he's in there talking now. I don't know. I'm not privy to those types of things. But this is a big day for LSU and a big 2 days for LSU to get those four at that level, top 50 players in the country on the defensive front in a Lane Kiffin program. Big, big deal. So Lamar Brown is in. Trenton Henderson is in. Richard Anderson is in. And Deuce Geralds is in. All four of those guys on the defensive front in for LSU. Big, big, big news for Lane Kiffin and the Tigers. All right, we got one segment left to go. Got a little take it or leave it. I might drop some LSU football stats on you as well. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just great folks to work with in the insurance game. I talk all the time about hurricane season. I did throughout the fall, and it's gone now. We're in December. Hurricane season is over. That's awesome. It was quiet on the Gulf Coast. We like that, and I hope the next 6 are like that. But we know from spending time down here, from making our home here, that that's not always the case. So make sure that your policy is going to respond properly if that bad storm rolls through. Make sure your buildings are evaluated properly. Make sure your deductible structure is right. Make sure that you're not going to incur co-insurance penalties, that you don't have some exclusions or something that you're not comfortable with. You just saw the premium at the end and thought that was good and went with it. Make sure your locations are properly scheduled. These are things that are not fun to do. They're not things that every agent will do, but you can be rest assured at the Howard Insurance Group, they're going to make sure that your property policy is written properly, including your business interruption if you can't work, and you're taken care of when that storm rolls through. The time to worry about that is not when that storm forms in the Gulf come 9 months from now. The time to do it is now. So call the Howard Insurance Group, say, hey, I'd like to get a second set of eyes on that property policy, and let them do it for you. It's the Howard Insurance Group. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google. Based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, last news of the week just that we're kind of waiting on now that the LSU signing class is officially put to bed. As far as the commitments go, you had a couple of defections. You kept most of the guys that you were looking to keep. The news now turns to Blake Baker and the LSU defensive coordinator. Does he take a Tulane job, Memphis job, or does he decide to stay with LSU? Tulane plays tonight in the American Championship game against North Texas. I have no idea if and when an announcement could come. That's just up to Blake Baker, and we'll see what he decides to do. I was looking at the statistics for this LSU football team, and I wrote a piece called Statistically Speaking on LouisianaSports.net that's really not writing much as it is listing. I just take all the relevant statistics, and I put a national rank beside them, and then I code the really good ones with green and the really bad ones with red. If you're in the top 25 in the country in a metric, I put it in green. If you're in the bottom 50 in a country in a metric, I put it in red. And look at this LSU defense. They were top 25 in the country in scoring defense, 5th, total defense, 25th, interceptions, 7th, passing touchdowns allowed, 9th, third down defense, 21st, red zone touchdown percentage allowed. They were 5th in the country in that metric. And that's why you look at a defense that wasn't necessarily elite in some of the yardage categories, like 33rd in yards per carry allowed, which is good. But not elite. 40th in pass defense, which is good, just not elite. But the reason why this Blake Baker defense was very good is because they were really good on third down. You look at 21st in the country, and they were really good in the red zone. They were 5th in the country, as I mentioned, on allowing touchdowns in the red zone. Only allowed their opponents 69% touchdowns in the red zone. The biggest issues in the two red in this story that I wrote, well, actually it was just one red, but the sacks weren't great. 51st in the country in sacks. LSU is 87th in the country in tackles for loss this year. Blake Baker talks about havoc and wanting to get back there and get sacks. Well, he only had 27. I was hoping LSU would get north of 40 this year. I had a bold prediction of that. They didn't get close to that. I was hoping so. They were 51st in the country in sacks, but 87th in tackles for loss. That's something that I know he wishes they were a little bit better at. Again, you were good at not breaking. You were good in the red zone, good on third downs, good against the run. You turned teams over, 7th in the country in interception. There was a lot of really good that allowed you to have as good a defense as LSU did, but it wasn't because you were as disruptive as I think they would have liked to be defensively, and that tackle for loss metric shows it. So that's all the good stuff. Now, unfortunately, we go to the bad. The offense. How many stats did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 22 statistics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 16 of the 22 statistics, LSU was in the bottom 50. 16 of 22. You were worse than 100th in the country. Scoring offense, total offense, yards per play, rushing offense, yards per carry, rushing attempts per game, rushing touchdowns, third down conversions, fourth down conversion attempts, red zone touchdown percentage, 124th in the country in red zone touchdown percentage, 114th in 20-plus yard plays, 10-plus yard plays, 20-plus yard plays, tackles for loss allowed, all of them worse than 100. It's really hard to believe that LSU was that bad on the offensive side of the ball. The only thing that LSU was in the top 30 in was pass attempts. LSU was 27th in passing attempts in the country. Yeesh. Not great on offense. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
It's Friday. It means it's time for a cold pop. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. Everything you're looking for in a light beer. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Also, the great flavor that you're looking for as well. Oldest brewery in America. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Excuse me, someone's caught my throat. Pause if needed. All right, so a little bit of history last night. LeBron James' 10-point record was snapped as he recorded 8 points versus the Raptors. This marks his first single-digit performance in the regular seasons or playoffs since January of 2007.
Jeez.
I was 7 years old. So a total of 1,297 straight games. For reference, the previous mark belonged to Michael Jordan at 866, who passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 787. So the current guys who could potentially catch LeBron is Kevin Durant at 267 and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 170 games straight. Is anybody ever going to beat this record? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. There's so many variables there.
Oh, yes.
Like, you roll an ankle in the first quarter. I mean, that's what you're looking for there. I mean, that's incredible. So much of what LeBron has done has been incredible. There are so many people that think he's the best player ever. There are so many people that cannot stand him.
Yeah.
I'm in neither camp there, but I will listen to the argument that he's the best player ever. And things like this are part of that. Part of being one of the greatest players ever, being the greatest player ever, is longevity.
Yeah.
And he's been the greatest in that respect. And so, incredible streak to be snapped.
Yeah, and just to put
2007, I was a freshman at LSU.
Yeah, 2007. To put it a little bit more perspective, when I just went to go see Steph Curry in the blender, he dropped 9 points.
Yep.
So, yes, it goes to show it's a lot harder to keep scoring 10 points in an NBA game. So, the University of Georgia, a.k.a. NASCAR U, is headed to court with a former Bulldog, current Missouri Tiger Damon Wilson, for $390,000. So Wilson played as a freshman and sophomore for Georgia before transferring to Missouri in January. But 2 weeks after signing a new deal with Georgia's Classic City Collective, I guess their NIL collective, this is going to be a lot more common now. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I hope to leave it. Maybe we don't.
Leave it alone. We'll take it. I'll take it.
I don't even know what we were asking there.
Oh, okay. So I'm asking, you're going to see a lot more common that players are being sued by these universities?
Exude him. That is going to happen. Take it. Because a lot of money's involved, and there's contracts involved, and there's breach of contract, and there will be a significant litigation in this wild, wild west if you allow it. In the professional sporting ranks, it's pretty cut and dried here.
Yeah.
This is the wild, wild west. So there will be more lawsuits for sure.
About to say. So apparently the problem was that he signed a deal and then skipped town. So they're going to definitely
that'll
get
do it.
Money. All right. So Arizona Cardinals Kyler Murray will not return for the rest of the season with his foot injury. Is this the end of Kyler Murray's time in Arizona? Take it or leave it.
Take it for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. They got to move on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even suggest it was a bust of a number 1 overall pick. Like, you've seen a lot worse. He just wasn't that good.
Yeah.
He was basically a league average quarterback. I like to use that MLB stat WAR.
Yeah.
Like, what's Kyler? A 0? Like, he's right at league average, I would say. Maybe a little bit better.
Maybe a slight midget better of, average. He's barely above average, though. It's not above average by much at all. So that's it for take it or leave it.
All right, let me pick LSU and Texas Tech. Sunday, 2 o'clock. I'm not ready to pick LSU to win that game. I think Texas Tech wins that game. I think it's a 78-71 type of game. I think LSU is in it midway through the second half. I think Texas Tech's a little bit better. But if LSU can, as I said in the segment 15, 20 minutes ago, like if LSU can go toe-to-toe with this team, it'll be such a statement to me. Maybe not to some LSU fans, maybe not to the college basketball world who won't be locked into Fort Worth on Sunday, but to me, somebody who covers this team, pulls for this team, that wants this team to do well, I'll be impressed if they can do that because this is a good Texas Tech basketball team. So looking forward to that. I picked the Saints game earlier in the first hour, picked Buccaneers 27-13. I also think Georgia wins the SEC championship. I think Ohio State wins the Big Ten. And I'm curious to see what the college football playoff rankings come out looking like. Really, my only concern is making sure Ole Miss and Texas A&M do not play for the I don't even want them to play for the national championship. They get to the semis, I'll live. I don't want them to. Nope. I don't need them in the game. That's my only hope for the college football playoff. Don't care about Bama. Don't care about Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana, whatever. Tulane, don't care. No A&M, no Ole Miss in the championship. That's my only concern. Friday shows are brought to you by Corks. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar.